What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy, and by the time you see this video, I might already be on my way to Pennsylvania, or might even be there. But anyway, point being, as of the release of this video, I'm leaving for Christmas break, like, same day. So, anyway, as I mentioned last week, some things might need to be changed up a little bit. We'll see what happens when I actually get there. But anyway, so I'm not sure what exactly got this kind of thought process running in my head, other than just recent experience. So I guess I should give a little backstory on this question that I've been contemplating in my own head. So, for a job like mine, you know, it doesn't run on typical business hours. Like, in fact, it pretty much is exclusively not business hours, or the typical, like, 9 to 5 or anything like that. And so, for me, the fact that, at least on the days that I'm working, I don't really have the same hours of availability as a lot of other people, it can make trying to schedule things and be part of other things outside of where I live a lot more difficult. And so that almost kind of left me wondering which I would, like, it left me wondering if I would prefer that there be more jobs that have sort of an atypical schedule, or if it would be better to just have, like, all the jobs be the same stereotypical, like, 9 to 5, 5 days a week. But each side kind of has its own pros and cons. So I'm really not going to come down one way or another officially on this, but I think one thing, especially when it comes to having, I'm going to say, young adult groups, whether it be connected to church or otherwise, I think there are a lot more younger people that have these jobs with such atypical hours, and so that can make it a lot more difficult for my age group in particular to really coordinate things outside of just, like, a particular group, typically within the same job that you know have the same hours. To put it bluntly and perhaps a little bit extreme, it can make you feel kind of isolated at times. And so, you know, for me, in order to, like, say, get involved with church or do other things like that, I have to kind of try and tack on as many different things to my schedule as possible that are, you know, on specific days of the week. Because then it's like, you know, trying to get as many weeks as possible where I have some sort of connection there, I have to do multiple days where I have something scheduled for that weekday specifically. Otherwise, like, you know, at least for me personally, is like, I only get 2 of a given weekday off in a row, and then I'm working the next 4 or 5. I'm pretty sure it's the next 4. And then, so, like, my availability, like, midday is a lot more than most people would have. But how many other people are really going to be available midday to do stuff, other than the people that I work with? I guess it's something that I think could be considered a little more heavily when trying to reach out to young adults in particular, because, again, I think the rate at which my age group seems to have jobs with atypical hours, I would I mean, I'm not gonna guarantee it and say it like it's a fact, but based on what I've heard and people that I've encountered, I'd be pretty safe saying that my age group is more likely to have a job with atypical hours than older age groups, especially. It's one of those things where I know there are going to be jobs that require these atypical work hours because, I mean, especially if you ever want to have anything that's open 24 hours a day, you got to have somebody there working it. And, I mean, there are some jobs like mine where it's just you're supervising and, you know, taking care of younger people still than myself. And so, in order to have that, you need to have somebody who's working hours that aren't typical. So, like, certainly as long as boarding schools exist, you're going to need people that don't work normal hours. Unless you went totally just off the wall, like, hey, do whatever you want kind of thing to the kids that live there, which you don't want to do. But, you know, at the same time, if, like, everybody kind of shifted to where hours weren't quite so typical, or, you know, at least there wasn't such a high percentage of jobs that were, like, the 9 to 5-ish time frame, I think overall the downside of that would be there would be even more of an inclination to keep stuff open at all different kinds of hours, and there would be kind of less regularity within just society as a whole. Like, you'd have, I don't know, I don't know what would really happen if you had more jobs that shifted to where they weren't, you know, on a typical schedule. I mean, heck, there are some jobs that you can basically work on your own time from home and that kind of stuff. And so, but at the same time, like, you can't just have all the jobs shift to a certain time frame or anything like that. And, like, if every job didn't have typical hours, then parents would need some way to have their kids, you know, be safe and kept track of while they're working their job that is now during non-school hours and that kind of thing. So it's one of those things where it's like, you can't really go too far to the one extreme or the other. Things would just get kind of ridiculous and out of hand. And so I think when it comes to, you know, trying to plan around this sort of stuff and, you know, trying to work with these varying schedules, it could be a little taxing to try and constantly be in touch with people, or to, you know, constantly try and figure out different things that you can do during your spare time. And I mean, I suppose some people will even have atypical hours, but they'll work kind of normal days with those hours. So that kind of stuff you can have that would be reliable. Like, okay, I'm going to have these particular weekdays available any given week. So, but, you know, when it comes to younger age groups, I'm going to say we, because I'm kind of included in this too. We tend to kind of work jobs where it's just like, either we have a schedule that it's not always the same weekdays we have off, or it's like you just kind of wait to see what your schedule is any given week. Like a lot of part-time jobs, especially at like fast food places or grocery stores or different things like that, you just kind of wait to see what the schedule is. At least mine, I can predict what days I'm going to have off each week, typically. But still, I guess kind of one of the things I wanted to say in regards to this, especially when it comes to like, I don't know, having church groups or, you know, trying to reach out to people of certain ages, it might be a little harder to try and get regular time with somebody that's on an irregular schedule. So you kind of have to put more effort into plugging away at it and trying to see what fits best for the younger person. You almost need to have somebody whose schedule is more flexible if you really want to have a consistent person regularly in contact, and like if you're a church, kind of ministering to whoever this is that you're trying to reach out to. And I mean, I don't know, there might be extra work to put into it like that, but at the same time, I think a lot of people around my age and younger are looking for something to kind of ground themselves and, you know, really have a consistent baseline. All right, I can count on this person or this particular event, activity, something to just kind of have a stable base to, you know, make sure you're not lonely all the time and going stir crazy, or just even just having an outlet where other people are involved. Those things are, you know, important factors in, I guess, our just overall psyche, or whatever you want to call it. But again, they can be difficult to work around with somebody that has a schedule kind of like what I do, or, you know, any irregular type of schedule. It might seem a lot more difficult, and you might want to just kind of say it's not worth it. But generally, like, if you get enough people that are committed to go to a thing, at least as much as they can, you know, you'll have something there that's consistent and you can work around. But, I mean, a lot of this is kind of conjecture on my part. I just know, for me, sometimes I do kind of get that feeling of being isolated a little bit. Like, I really can only rely on my coworkers in order to have regular interaction with other people that are roughly my age. And, you know, even just having people to consistently, you know, talk with and tell them what's going on and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's like, I kind of want something outside of my own little bubble, so I know I'm not just kind of slowly drifting into absurdity or something. But anyway, I don't really know what else to say in regards to this. I think if there was more acknowledgement and, you know, people recognizing the fact that, hey, there are these jobs out there that don't have these typical schedules, and we might want to have somebody who can, you know, connect more with these people, specifically from like a ministry and outreach standpoint. That's something I think should be considered moving forward, and something that I think, as time goes on, might be even more of a factor, because we do have more of these jobs that are kind of work your own schedule, stay at home sort of things, or You have more businesses that are trying to be open 24 hours a day, and so people have to work weird hours. Just jobs with atypical hours seem to be growing, at least a little bit from what I can tell. And so I think that might be part of where churches and other organizations are losing some people. And I also think it's going to be, there's a chance that it'll be more prominent in the future, and that this will actually be necessary to put that extra bit of effort into reaching out to people with these weirdo schedules. And, you know, it might seem like extra work, but at the same time, it's like, you know, for somebody who feels isolated and is looking for some sort of interaction, just taking that little bit of extra effort and having something there for them, I think gives a greater opportunity for a bigger impact on those specific people who are really feeling that way. At least, I think, you know, for me, I tend to hold the interactions that I have outside of here a little bit more, I don't know if sacred is quite the right word, but, you know, the stuff that I do outside of here, because it's so irregular, it tends to stick in my mind a little more prominently. So anyway, I think I've kind of rambled on about not much of anything for long enough, or at least it seems like it's not much. I don't know. Maybe you can leave some comments down below if you're in a similar situation, or you've had these kinds of feelings because of your job or something else that tends to keep you away and isolated. Or if you have something else to add on to this whole conversation idea, then let me know down below. But anyway, I think that's all I've got to say. So, as always, like and share if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell to make sure that you get updates whenever I post new videos and stuff on my channel. Right below the video in the description, you could find information on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages, and how to follow those, and where to find them, and all that kind of stuff. So I guess that does it for this time around. This is one that I honestly just kind of wanted to prepare in advance so I could have my backup plan in case I don't have what I'm hoping to have with me during Christmas break and all that. But anyway, yeah, so I hope you're all doing well. I guess it'll probably be about Christmas before I put out another video, or certainly another video like this one. So I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and whatever other holidays you're celebrating. And yeah, hope you're all doing well, and stay cool, people.